very much for joining us this morning. It's great to see so many of you here. Can the next slide, please? Okay, so yeah, I'm Melissa Conlon. I'm the Commercial Director of the AMRC Northwest. Can the next slide, please? So Nick's put together a great agenda for us this morning. So we've got some really interesting speakers. So I'm going to kick off telling you a bit about the MRC, the new building, what our current timescales are, and some of our capabilities. Then next we've got Darren Meadows and Chris Williams talk about Motordrive Seats Limited. We've then got Pritam, who's going to talk about Boost supporting Lancashire manufacturing innovation. We've then got Paul from the Northern Auto Alliance. We've also got Gordon Smith from the Northern Aero Alliance. And then we've got Andrew Kent from Innovation Edge. What we're going to do is we're going to have all the questions at the end. So if you could hold those to the end or even put them in the chat. And then we'll aim to close at 12:30. Have the next slide, please. So in terms of the AMRC, for those of you who don't know who we are or what we actually do, we're a world-class research centre for advanced manufacturing. We were established in 2001 as a collaboration between Boeing and the University of Sheffield. So it's actually we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. We're one of the 7 high-value manufacturing catapults, and we help manufacturers of any size to become more competitive by helping them introduce advanced techniques, technologies, and processes. And we're very proud of the fact we are specialists in carrying out world-leading research. And what's important about our research is that it's a practical use to industry. So basically, we prove out concepts, we prove out processes, but what we really want to do is actually kind of get the results of our research into industry and working for industry. We've got centres in Sheffield, Preston, North Wales, Derby, Korea and Canada. And since we've been on the ground in Lancashire, probably working with SMEs since 2019, we've actually worked with over 185 Lancashire manufacturing SMEs. For the next slide. So just really wanted to talk you through a little bit about our journey. I know some of you actually came to see us in the very early days of us actually kind of taking up our residence here in Heatley House. So this was us in Heatley House in October 2018. We were very kindly allowed to use this facility by UCLAN, which gave us a great workshop space. So just sort of our transformation over the last couple of years. So the next slide, please. So this was us in June 2019. We started to get equipment in. As you can see, the VR kit was set up. We've got some additive manufacturing polymer systems in the background there. We've got our wire bonding machine for batteries. So really sort of, ordering kit up, kit started to arrive and we started to work with SMEs across the county. The next slide, please. Then January 2020, the facility really started to take shape, and I think some of you who came in to see it sort of in that 6-month period really noticed the difference. We started to have our manufacturing cells. So you can see the picture on the left is our additive manufacturing cell, then we've got robotic cells, and we've got a CMM cell. And when we actually dismantled the building about 2 weeks ago, we had a total of 14 cells in there with all of our different equipment. So the next slide, please. So this is some of our other equipment. So our Renishaw laser powder bed, additive manufacturing, another robotics cell, and some measurement equipment. So as you can see, we've had quite a journey. We've been amassing kit, etc. And now really sort of for us, it's a really exciting chapter in our lives. Can I have the next slide, please? So this, for those of you who haven't seen it or driven past it, is our new facility, which is on Samlesbury Aerospace Enterprise Zone. We were supposed to move into there on the 13th of September, but unfortunately we've had a few issues with the electricity. So we've had what they call impedance issues, for those of you who know about electricity. So whilst we've got electricity, it's actually the wrong kind of electricity. So we've been working on a workaround. So we will actually be taking possession of that building on the 29th of October. So really exciting time for us to actually move everything in And we've also got additional kit coming into there that wasn't in our interim facility. Have the next slide, please. So these are just a few shots about kind of, what's going on in there at the moment. We're kind of moving kit in, so that this is the workshop. So massive workshop area, which we will actually be erecting our kind of different cells, etc., in there over the next couple of weeks. Next slide, please. Just some kind of internal shots of the building. As you would expect, it's quite an industrial setting. We've basically got kind of, we've got the workshop, which is the main part. We've got office space in there, and we've got seminar space and offices as well. Next slide, please. So what are we going to be doing in this facility then? So we do have key research themes within the Northwest, some of which cross over with what we're doing in Sheffield. Some of them are actually more unique. So one of our key research themes is battery pack assembly. So we're specifically looking at joining techniques, not about the chemistry of the battery cells. So we're looking at things like wire bonding and laser welding, and how do you actually put those packs together. We're leading for the AMRC on additive manufacturing, so not just polymers, but polymer-based systems, but also metallics. So we're looking at additive manufacturing for things like titanium and aluminium. Robotics and automation, another research theme. As you can imagine, during the COVID pandemic, the robotics side of things has got really busy for us. Machining, we're here to help the machine shops within the area, because we do a lot of machining here, particularly because of aerospace. All aspects of digitalisation of manufacturing processes, including things like artificial intelligence, virtual reality and augmented reality. We're also working on a large project, 5G. So we're looking at various use cases for 5G applications within manufacturing environment. Also net zero manufacturing and smart building technologies. And finally, cybersecurity. So as you can imagine, the announcement about the National Cyber Force actually coming alongside us on Samlesbury was really great news for us. Next slide, please. So the building itself, not only is it this research centre, the whole building is going to be a low carbon smart factory demonstrator, which we hope to have set up by next March. So what we're going to be doing in the building is demonstrating how the use of connected assets throughout the facility will provide real-time and historical energy use. So what we're looking to do is really kind of take manufacturers on that journey to low carbon manufacturing, and also reduce the cost of ownership within legacy buildings. It would have been very easy for us to actually fit all of this technology into this building while it was being built. But what we're doing is we're deliberately retrofitting it to give ourselves that challenge, but also prove to local manufacturers that you can actually fit this technology within your own legacy building, whether it's a relatively new building on an industrial estate, or whether it's actually, as many of our manufacturers are still sort of running out of sort of the old mills, etc. So what we're going to be doing is connecting this building from kind of, what I would say the shop floor to the top floor, and actually connecting all of our assets up in terms of all our equipment, etc. And also, what this will actually sort of impact as well is improving staff health and well-being within our buildings. So we're going to be demonstrating all of this, and this will be working by March. For the next slide, please. So if you think about the building and what we're going to be doing in the building, it's a new asset for Lancashire and Lancashire's manufacturing. It's not only this advanced manufacturing research centre, it's an advanced manufacturing technology demonstrator. So we want to welcome as many people into the building as possible. It's going to be a low carbon smart factory demonstrator. It's also a 5G enabled test bed. We've got meeting and seminar space, and we're really hoping that the building will drive inward investment into the area. So for us, in terms of scaling up our activities, etc., it's really kind of a case of, you haven't actually seen anything yet in terms of our capabilities and what we can really achieve. For the next slide, please. So just kind of to point out to you, what we've got available at the moment to Northwest SMEs. We've got 2 funded assistance programs with ERDF, where we can actually work with manufacturers in any of our technology areas. And to date, we've worked with over 180 SMEs across Lancashire. In order to qualify for this program, you've got to be an SME. You've got to have which means you've got to have a turnover of less than 44 million, or a balance sheet less than 38 million, and less than 250 employees. And you've got to be based in Lancashire. However, that doesn't mean to say we can't actually work with you. We can work with companies outside of Lancashire of any size on a commercial basis. Have the next slide, please. Another program that we've actually got running, which is really interesting, is called Manufacturing Connect, which is a partnership between ourselves and Sheffield University and East Lancashire Chamber of Commerce. This program really came about from manufacturers going out to manufacturing exhibitions, conferences, etc., and hearing about ERP systems, MES systems, and CRM systems, and coming back to see us with a handful of brochures and thinking, well, where do you start? How do you actually implement one of these systems? Will it actually benefit my business? So this program really is a 5-hour program, which is an introduction to ERP, MES, CRM systems, to really kind of highlight what the benefits are, and also meet some companies who've actually implemented these, and sort of hear from these companies and sort of be able to kind of interact, etc., with them. So that's one of our programs. Next slide, please. So that's all from me, really. As I said, we're going to take questions at the end. I'm going to hand you over to Chris and Darren Chris is from the AMRC and Darren's from Motordrive. They're going to talk to you about one of their projects, which is actually in the automotive sector. But obviously, we do actually work with manufacturers across every sector. Thanks very much.
Next slide, please.
Morning. I'm Darren from Motordrive Limited. I'll give you a little bit of information about and history about the company first. We're a manufacturing business, and we manufacture FIA seats for racing cars and rally cars. We're a small family-run business. We have less than 10 people, some of which are part-time employees, and we're based in Leyland, and all aspects of our manufacturing takes place in Lancashire. We've been a member of the Northern Automotive Alliance since March 2021. So in order for Motordrive to manufacture and sell seats under the FIA homologation, we have to adhere and operate under their regulations. Yes, please, another slide. The FIA, you may have heard of them if you've watched things like Formula 1 and other things, are the governing body for the world motorsport. And they set all the regulations that we must adhere to. So under the FIA, you've got what's called an ASN, which is a national governing body. And our national governing body is called Motorsport UK. So each country has their own governing body, and as I said, we operate under Motorsport UK. And previously, Motordrive Limited has manufactured seats at a national level. So we would just do it under Motorsport UK. Now, if we go back to the FIA, they have 2 sets of regulations. One is for a national category, which is called an FIA 8855 1999. It's just a seat name and number, really. And that relates to any seat for national motorsport. They have a second one, a second tier for international motorsport, which is called an FIA 8862 2009 seat. Now that's called an advanced seat. So typically we've always manufactured at a national level, but in 2016, we took the decision to go down the line and homologate an FIA 8862 2009 seat, which is for international motorsport. So previously we'd the criteria for making a seat at a national level, to give you an example, we would go through a test with the FIA, and it would be a dynamic test where we put a 90 kilo dummy in a seat and send it down a sled, and it would have a 20G impact. We then turn the seat through 90 degrees and send it down again and have a 15G impact. Finally, we do one final test where we send it backwards once again for a 10G impact. We don't need to send the seat forward because that's the test for that will be the harnesses. So we've tested the seat now. The seat will be inspected. If there's no problems with it, we can then send that report to the FIA, and we'll then, once they clear it, we can sell that seat as FIA homologated. The difference there is with the international seat, or what we call the advanced seat, the testing is far more rigorous. There's only one test place we could use, which is in Italy. So we had to set about not only a new design, a new process in which to manufacture this type of seat. So I said in 2016 we took the decision. We set ourselves 3 particular criteria. We wanted the seat to be comfortable, we wanted it to be light, and we wanted it to be cheap to manufacture. Comfort was our own knowledge. We had some good knowledge, and we still have good knowledge about how to ensure that the occupant of a seat is in a safe, comfortable environment. Weight, that's important. It's very important in motorsport that everybody wants anything to be as light as possible. So that took us down the line of using carbon, because it's a lighter, stronger product, so we could use less product to make a relatively light seat. And it needed to be cheap, and I say cheap in regards to our process of manufacture. So there were some businesses out there that already made 8862 seats, and they were using pre-preg autoclave, which is a very expensive process. And to give you an example, one seat would cost anywhere between £5,000 and £7,000. So it gives you an idea of the cost to manufacture it. So we set about going to homologate this particular seat and how we were going to do it. As I said, our process is we couldn't afford to go down and we wanted it to be cheap. We couldn't afford to go down the line of autoclave, so we decided to look at resin infusion. No one had done it previously. The knowledge that is out there isn't shared very easily, so we had a difficult time with doing that, but that's the way we wanted to do it, and that's felt the way we were going to go. And the reason behind this is we wanted to raise the profile of our business, get our business onto the international stage, and eventually try to work with some OEMs. So in 2017, we managed to homologate our first 8862 seat, which we called our MD10, and that was a 4-point seat. So it's bolted into the car just in 4 points in the base. In 2018, we homologated a second 8862 seat, and this was a 6-pointed seat, a 6-point mounted seat, which means that the seat fastens to the car in 6 places, 4 in the base and 2 in across the shoulder. I won't get into the details of why, but they are set within the regulations of the FIA. So in doing this, Motordrive, which, as I say, is a small business of less than 10 people in Leyland, we managed to homologate the lightest seat that ever been homologated. And we were the only British manufacturer to homologate an 8862 seat. And we were the only manufacturer in the world to homologate both sets of criteria set out by the FIA, which is what we say, a 4-point and a 6-point. So we did pretty well, and that got us in front of some initially one OEM, and eventually we got in front of a further 3. You could change the slide, please. That's a picture showing one of how we go through a test of an 8862 seat. So we came up with the design, and how we would do that is we would make a manual design of something we had existing. We would then take a scan of that, and then we would clean that scan and convert it to a nice model. But it was just a model. That's exactly what it was. And one of the things that became very, very clear when we were having our discussions with our OEMs was that each one had different criteria. Some wanted the shoulders a little bit slimmer, some wanted the head a little bit wider, some wanted the base a different shape, maybe even a larger curve to allow it to bolt into a particular area in the car, because in racing cars and rally cars, the room can be quite tight. So what we had is we had our model, but we had no way of altering it or changing. We'd have to start again and do it manually. So 2 years ago, the FIA instigated a new form, a new homologation, which was going to supersede the lower end seat, which was getting close to the higher end seat. So we decided we were going to start on a new design, and we were going to homologate this seat and test it, and which enabled us to sell the seat. The problem being is, though, we had an existing design and we wanted to be able to incorporate multiple changes. So we, as a business, we'd made a mold, we'd made the changes in the mold that we wanted. We then needed to have an ability at the click of a hand to change any aspect of that seat according to whatever the customer requirements, and that be us doing it or them. So if we sent a file to an OEM and said, or a customer, and said, there's the seat, and they said, that's great, but if we just have this bit changed, and we could say, yes, we can do that, or you can do that, and send it back to us. Once they'd put all their criteria into the seat, we could then take have a tool, or we call it a mold, have that mold machined, and we'd then have access to make that shell. And we didn't have that at the time, and we needed to get down to that point. So into Chris, who will tell you the details of how he managed to allow us to get to a point where we would have what we would call a parametric model. So we would have a seat in 3D CAD drawing, which we could manipulate any part of. In which, so I'll hand you over to Chris now.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Williams. I'm Tech Lead Additive Manufacturing, AMRC Northwest. So this project fell into, it was 2 parts. They were both ERDF, Project 1, Phase 1, and Project 2 was Phase 3. That's how we allocate them. So the first part of the project was in order to take what Darren had physically created and to convert that into the CAD model. So we were going to scan it again, but this time not just surface the point cloud data into what would normally be called a dumb solid or a dumb surfaces. So we've reached out to some local scanning suppliers in GOM, and Sam Scullion in particular has been really helpful in this project. Next slide, please. So in order to understand the surfaces that Darren has physically created, we scanned on site. So the tool was prepared, cleaned, it had the markers put on it for the references, and then it was scanned with a GOM Atos Q system on site in Darren's facility. It was really quick, it was efficient, and produced a really refined, smooth, high quality STL file. Next slide, please. So it's difficult to show on a slide how good the scan was, but it's really essential that we gather the information and convert it into a full digital twin, so that we've got within the CAD environment a full representation of the physical component. Next slide, please. So that then gave us the basis for the second project, which was the creation of the parametric CAD model that Darren ultimately wants as the outcome of this process. Next slide, please. So I chose to use Siemens NX as the CAD system because it's got some really powerful tools within it to convert the STL file into what's called a convergent body. That then allows me to use the STL file as if it were surfaces or solids that have been created within the CAD system, rather than just an STL file, which is really difficult to use because you can't section it and you can't extract information from it. I then created lots of section planes and 2D wireframe sections to extract pertinent geometry from the scan data, which would then be used to drive the parametric model. Next slide, please. So what I then did was created a new file, which would be the actual model of the seat for Darren. And I created an assembly of the STL conversion body and the new file. And then I methodically worked my way around the STL file, overlaying my datum planes and extracting the 2D wireframe to create a completely independent seat model, parametric seat model of the finished design. We didn't follow the scan data exactly in all areas because we could see that there were problems with it, and particularly with drafting and extracting the component off of the tooling. Next slide, please. So that's an image of the CAD, the parametric CAD, which has a full NX history tree, so Darren can modify that, any aspect of that file for any future product, for any differing customer requirements, for anything he wants. So he's now got the capability that he set out to achieve. And we can do a lot with this now. We could, well, immediately it's going to be used for production tooling, but it could be used for images, for promotional material. It could be used for things like finite element analysis in the future, a whole array of product lifecycle management activities.
Chris, can I just ask a question? I'm just conscious of time, and I can see the work that you've done for Darren. Can I? I mean, this has cost Darren. There's been no cost. It's all been funded work we've done, isn't it?
Yes,
absolutely. Yes, that was the great thing about it.
So that's really the offer. This is an idea of a project. So I think if we can just move on, it's just we are about 10 minutes over. But thank you, Chris and Darren, for sharing that with us. Thank you.
No worries.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pritam Pal. I'm the Performance Management Lead for the Lancashire Business Growth Hub. And Lancashire Business Growth Hub is Boost. Golberto, next slide, please. So what is the Lancashire Business Growth Hub and where we are? So Boost, Lancashire's Business Growth Hub, sits at the heart of the business support landscape within the Lancashire LEP area. Boost delivers around 2.5 million worth of business support activity each year. 60% of the funding comes from ERDF, which is ERDF rather, it's European Regional Development Fund, and 40% of the funding comes from Lancashire County Council. And in addition, we have variable grants coming from the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. Boost delivers the largest volume of publicly funded business support activity in the area. And we delight, and I think I am all right to say that we delight about 1,000 businesses each year. And of these 1,000 businesses, I would say between 20 to 23% of the businesses that we work with are from the advanced manufacturing, engineering, aerospace and automotive sector. And Boost operates using a combination of direct help for businesses and signposting to appropriate local and national sources of business support. Gualberto, next slide, please. So to date, we have supported more than 8,000 businesses. We've created 3,500 plus additional jobs and added more than 100 million to the Lancashire economy. Gualberto, next slide again, please. So our direct services include business relationship management, which is matching businesses with the support they need. Flying Start is a program which is targeted, focused, or kind of designed for potential entrepreneurs, new and growing small businesses. Growth mentoring program matches less experienced SMEs with experienced business mentors. The Boost Bespoke program focuses on scale-up businesses and those with the greatest growth potential. And last but not the least, we have a marketing service which provides an overarching visibility to the Growth Hub. Next slide, please. In addition, from 2020, we have a new initiative or a new program which has become part of the Boost program portfolio family, which is the Peer Networks program. So Peer Networks is a national peer-to-peer networking program for SME leaders that want to grow and develop their organization for future success. And the key to this program is interactive action learning. We try our best. We've got trained facilitators who make sure that businesses in a they don't get into a situation where they feel obliged to discuss their competitive their trade secrets. So it's all about learning how to learn together. And the Peer Networks program is 100% funded by the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. Next slide, please. So John F. Kennedy, I think he commented that the word crisis in Chinese is composed of two characters, one representing danger, the other opportunity. Over the last 18 months, 20 months, I think there's been a lot of changes dictated by COVID-19, EU exit, and government's net zero target for SMEs as well as for large businesses. So, and these have surfaced a lot of unknowns. So, which is I think is a challenge for not just the Growth Hub, not just for other business support agencies, but definitely a challenge for businesses, the business community in Lancashire, and I think all over the world. What we have found is out of every 10 business, I think 9 or more, at least about 9 of them now need to do business in a different way. They need to think in a different way, and everything is different. The way their customers are buying or will be buying products, services for the next 3 or 5 years, the way their supply chains will deliver them these products, and the way these products will be marketed. So I think we need to work as a big team, as a big community. So both business support agencies and businesses to kind of just so that we come up with new solutions for the new problems that are surfacing left, right, and center now. Thanks. Next slide, please. So how does Boost work? I think it's pretty straightforward and simple. I've got a YouTube video, but I think we are slightly crunched for time. So I'll kind of, I think the slides will be shared so you can have a look. I just thought like a picture is more than 1,000 words. So what can we say about a video? It's like a video testimonial. So if you are a business, if you are thinking about growth, I think just give us a call at 0800 488 0057 and see what a conversation can do for you. Or just, my name is Pritham, call me at 079 206 982. And there are a couple of other testimonials as well. Next slide, please. So that's about Boost, and I know we have a Q&A session at the end. So I'm going to hand over to fantastic Paul Jones and not steal his thunder by saying what he does. Over to you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Pritham, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paul Jones, as Pritham said. I'm Chief Executive of the Northern Automotive Alliance. Next slide, please. So we're a not-for-profit organisation. We've been around since 2004, and basically we support the motor industry in the north of the country. We've got about 90 member companies, ranging from the large original equipment manufacturers like Leyland Trucks, for example, in Lancashire, right through to small SMEs. And we basically provide a membership service combined with a project management delivery function. Next slide, please. So small team, 3 of us, but between us, we've got around 80 years of experience working with original equipment vehicle manufacturers or tier 1 component suppliers in the Northwest. So that experience is there to be leveraged. Next slide, please. So as I said, network, 90 member companies, but our network extends way beyond this. We've got around 1,200 individuals across 600 companies that choose to follow us, to attend our events, join our mailing list. In the region, we've got 4 major vehicle manufacturers, and we've got over 20 of the top 100 automotive tier 1s. Next slide, please. So again, an overview of our service. So, we knowledge transfer, sharing best practice. We can promote your company and the sector. We have regular networking events, which I'll come to shortly. We offer industry training and skills, signposting to meet your specific needs, and as I said earlier, industry-specific project management and consultancy services. Next slide, please. So again, just going over business support, we can support with marketing, we can support with grant funding applications, signposting. We're well networked with not just national trade bodies, but national government, BAYs, and local government. We work closely with Pritham and the Boost team, for example. And again, I mentioned project management and consultancy. Next slide, please. So we have a regular program of networking events. Obviously, face-to-face has been challenging over the last 18 months, but we're getting back into those now. But we also run online webinars and member virtual roundtables as well. And periodically, we run conferences and deep dive workshops. Next slide, please. So obviously, networking, all about building external relationships. So I should have mentioned earlier, sorry, great to see member company Motordrive here today. Well done, Darren. So other external relationships, working closely with local enterprise partnerships, Boost, Lancashire, and other LEPs, trade organisations, national ones, as I mentioned previously, and a whole host of universities. You'll see, obviously, AMRC Northwest, by the University of Sheffield, UCLan, Lancaster, and many other universities in the north of the country. Okay, next, please. So in summary, we're run by automotive professionals for automotive professionals. We provide a natural forum for the latest information on the automotive industry, and we offer a wide range of services to meet business needs, be it automotive or advanced engineering and manufacturing. Next slide, please. So that's us, NAA. My contact details are there. Please feel free to contact me or follow us either on LinkedIn or Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. And I think at this stage, I'm due to hand over to Gordon Smith.
Thank you, Paul, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gordon Smith from NWAA, the Northwest Aerospace Alliance. NWA we are the regional trader cluster for the aerospace sector in the Northwest. We're actually one of the founding collaborators advocating for the Northwest's own Advanced Manufacturing Research Centre. So it's so pleased to be here today, which to mark this important stage in the development of AMRC actually located in the Northwest. Gilberto, could we have the next slide, please? The Northwest aerospace industry is really important to Lancashire, the Northwest, and actually even to the UK economy. It delivers skilled jobs and provides around a fifth of the whole UK aerospace activity. It's very export oriented, and as you can see, with significant global aerospace prime companies present right across the region. Next slide, please, Gilberto. The Northwest aerospace supply chain. The Northwest has an extensive multi-tiered supply chain serving primes in the region and beyond. And in particular, there are many precision engineers making not only advanced airframe and engine components, but they also reuse these capabilities to address other adjacent AM sectors. Next slide, please. We see a rich aerospace market collaboration outlook. And I make no apologies here for deliberately presenting as much of that rich picture right here. There's a lot of change going on. We're observing a multifaceted global post-COVID recovery underway. Now, that's unlikely to be simply a rebound from the pre-COVID times. We see opportunities in the civil and defence markets and transformations of products and processes to deliver net zero. And that means there are also opportunities in supply chain. So from where any of us are today, to win those market opportunities shown here, we're going to have to require, we're going to have to require to acquire breakthrough technologies and technology applications, maturing of product innovations, as we heard of some of the things today, and the introduction of new processes and ways of working, which the AMRC is well positioned to provide. And maybe, as you can see, some organizational and financial restructuring. Now, we can try doing that alone, or to accelerate progress and mitigate the risks, we can collaborate. And then that way we can gain access to knowledge, to markets, to technologies, and to capabilities. Next slide, please. We absolutely believe that collaboration will be key to acquiring the competitive advantages necessary to secure the opportunities that are out there. You've already heard how Boost can make collaborative connections for businesses, how AMRC does the same for manufacturing, and Paul's NAA for the automotive sector. And NWA works actively to deliver the same and more for participants in the aerospace and its AM supply chain sector. We see local Lancashire peer-to-peer collaboration networks and our own aerospace cluster of excellence, ACE. We have nationally recognised collaborative innovation programmes such as NATEP and SC21, plus awareness of the Ministry of Defence's Defence and Security Accelerator. We also have access to international networks through the European Aerospace Cluster Partnership to give you access to Europe and beyond, including EU grant-funded programmes. And of course, all of these will be tailored and linked to other support to deliver effective business-building collaborations. Final slide, please. We want Northwest businesses to secure all that's on offer in the aerospace and AM sectors. If you want to do more, get in touch and we'll make the connections from the collaborations to make that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think it's over to me now. So I'm Andrew Kent from Innovate UK Edge, and I work for one of the delivery partners that deliver the Innovate UK Edge support to businesses within the Northwest. So you can see my contact details on there. So if you've got any questions about what I'm just about to present, or you want to learn more, please email me or give me a call. Next slide, please. I'm going to be pretty quick because I think we're running over, but there's three main areas that I want to cover. I just want to put a bit of context around Innovate UK Edge and where that sits within the Innovate UK family. Then I'll talk about the support that we provide, and then I'll talk about a particular grant funding scheme that we've got to work with catapults on particular R&D projects. So in terms of Innovate UK and the family, next slide please. Innovate UK is one of 9 research councils that make up UK research and innovation. I've just put that on there so you can see who those councils are and what kind of technology areas and industries that they focus on. But most of the councils tend to be earlier stage research and development and collaborations, whereas Innovate UK want to take those kind of companies from a proof of concept right the way up to commercialization of whatever innovation that they're looking to commercialize. Next slide, please. Just showing how that kind of is all funded. So BASE fund UK Research and Innovation. They then fund Innovate UK. And then I'm sure most of you have heard of Innovate UK, but they're the innovation agency for the UK government. And they've got 2 different arms. On the left-hand side there, you've got Fund, where they've got R&D grant funding to help develop new technologies and new innovations. And they're also delivering now innovation loans and blended finance with investment and grant funding and technology areas. And then on the right hand side, right down at the bottom, you've got the Connect arm, and that's where Innovate UK Edge sit, and that's where the catapults sit as well, and that's where other organisations like the Knowledge Transfer Network sit as well. And we're here to provide that access to expertise, access to support, and provide that one-to-one support to companies to help them with whatever they're doing, whatever the innovation is that they're developing and taking to market. And then the other noteworthy, or 2 noteworthy things to say on there, is the national contact points. So it was just mentioned in the previous presentation before, European funding is still available for companies, especially around R&D. So even though we're not part of Europe, we are paying into Horizon Europe. There are a couple of caveats in there. So there is R&D funding and projects and competitions that you can bid into. So we can help with that, and you've got the national contact points that work through Innovate UK to help navigate those opportunities. And then we also undertake some innovation missions to different countries around technological areas or sector-specific ones, where we take companies into country to find collaboration and R&D partners to either enter that market or to add to whatever it is that innovation that that organisation or company is building. Next slide, please. Probably skip 2 and on to the next one. So in terms of the support that we provide, so we're here to support innovation-led businesses to commercialise whatever it is that they're developing. So if you go on to the next one, actually, that's fine. And there's kind of 3 main areas that we focus on. So they're those scale-up companies, and these are companies that have got the ability to grow 50% year on year. They are provided with a scale-up director that work intensively with them to overcome their scaling challenges. So these are innovation-led businesses that we're working with. And we've got our high growth services that sit in the middle, and that's aimed at the businesses that have got the potential or are growing 20% year on year, split into multiple different areas. So we've got innovation support, which is really where that main commercialization planning, business planning, market alignment work happens, how you take an idea to a commercial product. Then we've got the internationalization support, so we're part of Enterprise Europe Network, 65 countries, where we can work with partners to find, or those 65 countries to find collaboration partners to help with R&D and innovation projects. We provide support around IP, so IP strategies, IP audits to understand what intellectual property you're generating, how best to protect that or keep it a trade secret maybe, and then how that kind of forms part of your core business model and commercialization strategy. Investment readiness, we do that under the innovation support. We've got a specific program called Pitch Fest that works within the Northwest to help companies to become investor ready and then hopefully pitch in front of investors. And if you're good enough and a little bit of luck, you will get that investment as well. We also do Design for Growth, which isn't on here, but it's a relatively new service that we've launched, which is all around user-centered design and helping new product development focus on the users. And then also standards, what standards need to be adhered to and what can help you in developing your innovations. And then at the bottom, kind of the light touch stuff, which is more inquiries about legislation, looking at how Brexit might affect companies undertaking R&D. So that's light touch information. High growth services, that's around 5 days worth of support, fully funded by Innovate UK. And then the scale up part, we don't put days on that, but it could be 15, 20, 25 to overcome scaling problems that a business has. Next slide, please. Just in terms of the high growth part, these are the things that we concentrate on. I'll pick a couple out of the key ones. So market readiness and alignment around value propositions, what problems you're solving for a particular customer base. who are your customer segment that you're targeting, and what international markets you can take that into. The innovation process, what I mentioned just before, it's kind of how do you take an idea within a company that's looking to build new products, new services, new innovations, right the way through to a commercial product. What kind of things do you have to do? What processes do you need to have in place to be able to do that? And then the last one, finance for growth. That could be around grant funding, R&D funding from Innovate UK or from Horizon Europe as well. How do you navigate that? And how do you put a funding strategy in place, which could also look at grant funding, but also investment and also debt finance, or some of those alternative finance options that are available as well. Next slide, please. This is just the countries that we work in. If you just click again and then click again, you can look at this at your leisure when you get the presentation slides sent round. So these are all the countries that are part of Enterprise Europe Network. Yeah, if you go on to the next one, that's fine. This is what we do: coaching, mentoring, support to overcome key growth and scaling challenges. We've got a group of specialists. I think there's around about 250 in the UK. My team is 10 within the Northwest that I work with. They've grown their own businesses, they've succeeded, they've sold, they've failed. They've got a wealth of experience about how you take new innovations, new technologies to market and commercialize those. Go on to the next one, please. What we're looking for, ideally, we want companies that are trading and employing staff. We want companies that have got some kind of validation of the innovation that you're developing. So not just a proof of concept, not just an idea. You maybe have got customers that have given you feedback, that are interested. You've had some funding. You've had some kind of validation to show that there's going to be some traction for this and opportunity for it. And we're looking for those companies that are either growing 20% or 20% plus annual growth. Next slide, please. And the RTO Catapult Growth Fund. If you just slip onto the next slide. So we've launched a new program. So it's £15,000 that's available to our Innovate UK Edge clients, where they can use that funding, apply for the funding. So there's a process in place. It's not guaranteed. Where you can then work with an RTO or a Catapult on a particular innovation project that you've got. So that being new product development, new testing, access to expertise, access to equipment that Catapults can provide you with. And AMRC are one of those partners that we're working with and been able to deliver this grant. Just click through a couple of slides. It just goes into a little bit more detail. The next one. You can hear the banging in the background. My dog's woken up and he's playing with his bone, which is really because he's been asleep for the rest of the presentation, so that's unfortunate. Then a case study slide, a couple of case studies here. The thing to really to focus on is impact, what we're looking for. So we're looking to create new jobs, we're looking to increase turnover, and we're looking to develop and launch new products for businesses. But you can look at that in your leisure at another time. If you click through, I think there's just a testimonial. Then if you go one more, it's probably the end. Yeah, so this is our website if you want to find out more, but you've got my contact details on here. Hopefully you'll get in contact with me because there'll be a few nuggets here that you think, yep, I could do with the support there. So hopefully I'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. You were under pressure there to get this done in time, and as you rightly said, we are more or less at our time limit. I've got to say a great big thank you to all our speakers today for giving their time to share with you some of the innovative support that is available in Lancashire. And I found a quote today that I thought was quite fitting, really. It's alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And I think what it comes down to is there's all joining the dots. There's a lot of support there, and it's just trying to join those dots to give SMEs the best sort of way to tap into those funds. So please, come to us, have a chat, talk to Pritam and his team, talk to Gordon and Paul and Andrew. There's so much support there. And I'd like also a big thank you, and I'm so sorry for cutting Chris and Darren slightly short of time. It's just I needed to bring us back, otherwise we would be here till probably 1 o'clock. Now, in terms of questions, Melissa did say there was some time at the end for questions. I've gone through the chat box. There's some great comments. I haven't seen any key questions, but what I'm willing to do is I don't know, Gualberto, can we just put it open if anybody's got anything they'd like to say for the next 5 minutes? Are we okay to do that?
Yes, if anyone wants to comment, just open your microphone and then we'll take the questions.
Great.
Hi Nick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Hi.
It's Steph Evans from Evotech here.
Hi, Steph.
Hi. Question on the work that Nick and Darren were talking about. Now that they've got a digital part within the CAD environment, I wanted to ask what scope or what further things they're looking at from a simulation perspective in terms of looking at optimizing the structure and the mass, material usage, the manufacturing process, reducing risk and time to market, those kinds of things.
Okay, is that one for Chris? It's quite technical, so Chris, can you field that query?
Darren would like to answer that.
Yeah, because
Thank you.
it's one for, I would say it's one for me. I'm a little bit dubious of FME, but the other thing we very early on, to try and understand the testing, we built our own test rig, and having had when we first started testing several failures, we then built a test rig. Every time we've gone back to retest, we've passed our the FIA homologation test straight away. And in doing that, we've also managed to homologate the lightest seat anybody's ever managed to manufacture. The seat weighs 7.5 kilos, our last one. So we feel we've got a good understanding of our layup and where we're doing it, where we're putting the product, which orientation we're putting it in is quite complex. So at the minute, no, I'm not looking, to answer it very simply, I'm not looking to look at any simulation.
Okay, thanks, Darren. Cheers.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions that you'd like to ask? Or do you think we're probably at the end? Well, obviously, thank you everybody who's attended, because without you guys there wouldn't be an event, so thank you so much. Hopefully I understand that the session has been recorded, and Gualberto will be sending the recording out, and then you'll have everybody's contacts, and hopefully you'll touch base with them as the week progresses. But and feel free to contact the AMRC Northwest should you need any help. And great event, and thank you for all your support. Thank you. Thanks, Gualberto, as well for doing the slides. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you very much to everyone for presenting and attending. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Gualberto.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Take care.